In this video, we are going to discuss about the concept of files in C, how a file is getting processed. So let us just see the basic fundamental concepts that is related to files in C. So normally speaking, a file is a collection of data that is stored in your secondary device. So something like your hard disk or your memory card or your pen drive. Okay, so these are collections of secondary device. Okay, so basically so far what we have done is we would have written some program and we would have given the input through the keyboard during the runtime. But here when it comes to files, okay, we are going to collect all these data or all this information will be stored in a secondary device like your hard disk. So input through the keyboard that is being done through the program is always tedious to process. So let's say for example, if you have minimum number of records, then it is fine. But if you have very large number of data that is to be processed using the keyboard, that has been the data that has been given by the user through the input from the keyboard, then it is pretty tedious to process those large amount of information. So what we are going to do is in files, we are going to combine and put all the input data and we are going to store it as a file. So one good thing is we are going to design a program to read the data that is present in your file and we are going to process it using a C program. So since it is very tough to handle large amount of data that is being given through the terminals like your keyboard, it is pretty time consuming to handle this large amount of data or huge volume of data. So the entire data is going to get lost if the program is terminated or the computer is turned off. Okay, so the main reason for going behind the concept of files is that a couple of reasons. One thing is when we are trying to handle large volume of data or huge volume of data through the computer keyboard or any other input channel, it is pretty time consuming to process the large volume of data. That is one reason. The other reason is when we are trying to process the information or the data, and if your program is getting terminated abnormally or if your system is getting shut down abnormally, then the entire data is then there's a possibility that the entire data is getting lost. Okay, so in order to avoid this, what we do is we collect all this information and we just try to store it in the secondary storage device like your hard disk. Okay, so let us see what do you mean by a stream in C. So normally speaking, we have the different terminals or we have the different channels through which we try to pass the input to a system, to a computer in order to process or in order to manipulate the data. So normally speaking, your stream is going to be a logical interface or a channel through which your devices are connected to a computer. So it may be your mouse or it may be your keyboard or a printer, whatever it is. Okay, so there need to be some kind of interface that should carry the input from the user to those devices that are connected to a computer. Why? Because these devices that are connected to the computer, they are going to do the manipulation or the logical execution. Okay, so streams are basically logical interface to the devices that are connected in a computer. So your files may be of different form that has been referred in a disk or a computer screen, etc. Okay, so basically when we try to process the information or when we try to collect the data in a different location, or let's say for example we are trying to collect the information and we are trying to process it as a whole, then what we do is we try to put it inside a file, and every file may be of a different form. Let's say for example, images may be of a JPEG image, or a movie file may be of MP4 or MPEG. So there are a lot of formats for every file. Okay, so your files may be of different formats. Okay, and all these files are stored in your hard disk or in your computer screens. Okay, so we have to see what are the different formats of the files that are being available, okay, in order to refer it in your hard disk or your computer screen. So there are basically three standard streams. The first one is the standard input. This particular stream is going to receive the data using the read operation in your program. So whenever you are trying to get the input from the user in your program, what we do is we may have been using the different functions like getch, getC, scanf, etc. Okay, but what basically happens is there needs a stream in order to receive all these inputs from the user. Okay, so when it comes to file streams, okay, there are actually three standard streams. The first stream is your standard input or stdin. So standard input is a stream in which your program is going to receive the data using the read operation. And the second stream is the standard output, std out. So it is actually a stream in which your program is going to write the output data using the write operation. And the third one is the error, that is a standard error, std error. So it is actually an output stream in order to report the error messages to the user. So these are the three standard streams that are available in your C. So streams that are linked to a file is being done using the open operation. So whenever we have a stream, okay, so as I told you, your stream is actually a logical interface that is going to connect your program with the devices to the computer. Okay, so basically when it comes to a stream, okay, when you're trying to link that particular stream to a file, then a stream can be linked to that particular file only using the open operation. And the same file, if it has to be disassociated or if it has to be removed or delinked from the stream, then we have to make use of the close operation. Okay, so whenever you are trying to disassociate a file from a particular stream, then you have to make use of the close operation. Okay, so basically there are three standard streams. One is the standard input, the standard output, and then the standard error. So the standard input is a stream in which you are going to receive the information from the user in a program through the read operation. And the standard output is a stream in which the program is going to give the output to the user, or it is going to write the output data to the user using the write operation. And the standard error is an output stream in order to generate any error messages. Okay, so basically your file will be linked to a stream only using the open operation, and your file will be deassociated or delinked from the stream using the close operation. Okay, so moving on, we need a particular concept called a buffer in order to do the processing of files. Okay, so first let us try to understand what do you mean by a buffer. So basically when your stream is linked to a disk file, what happens is your buffer has been automatically created, and that file is associated with your stream. So buffer is basically a temporary memory, or it is going to be a block of memory where you are going to store the data in a temporary manner. So whatever data has been read or whatever data is going to be written in a file, so you can read the data from a file, you can write a particular data to the file only through the buffer. Okay, so basically your buffer is going to be a block of memory, okay, which is going to be created automatically, and it is associated with the file that has been linked with a stream. So whenever a stream is being linked with a particular file that is present in your hard disk, what happens is a buffer is created automatically, and that buffer is being linked or associated with your disk file. Okay, so basically your buffer will be a chain of or a chunk of memory, and actually it is a temporary storage of memory location where the data is to be read from your file, or it can be written in your file. So as I told you, disks are actually block oriented. Okay, so they have a specific fixed size of blocks where the data has been read or written of certain size. Okay, so that is why what we are going is we are going for the concept of the buffers. Okay, so the one major reason why we are going for buffers is that disks are actually block oriented. They have certain set of size in which the data are getting stored, and in that particular block of size the data is getting read or written from the particular block. Okay, so basically your buffer is going to be a hardware dependent concept. Okay, and it is going to act as an interface between the stream and the disk. So whenever you have a file that has been located in your disk, and if it is going to be processed using a program, then they establish a connectivity between the stream and the location of the file in the disk. So basically your buffer will act as an interface between the particular stream and the disk location where your file is being present. So stream is actually character oriented and your disk is actually block oriented. So whenever we have a particular record or whenever we have a particular data that is present in your disk, we have to access the entire block and then we have to get the information. But whereas when you go for a stream, we are going to process the information that is present in that particular block of memory character by character. So data is written through the stream and it will be saved in the buffer till the buffer is full. So when you are trying to write a particular information or when you are trying to create some records through the stream, what happens is these records will be first saved in a buffer. It's like a kind of a bucket. Okay, it's a kind of a bucket. Okay, or it's like a kind of a bucket. So until the bucket is full. Okay, so once all the information that you're trying to save in the buffer until it is getting full, then it will be returned to the disk as a block. So once the buffer is full, what we do is we take the data that is present in the filled buffer and that filled buffer data will be returned to the disk as an entire block. So the same applies for reading the data as well. So whenever you are trying to read the data from the disk, first we will try to fill that particular data from the disk to the buffer, and then the buffer will, and then we have to extract the information from the buffer to the stream. Okay, so let us see a pictorial representation of how this disk and the buffers and the program is going to work. So basically we have a program that has been written in a source code that is in any programming language like C. So what happens is we have a buffer where this buffer is going to act as an intermediate between your program and then the disk. Okay, so basically your disk is going to be the location where your file is getting stored. So as I told you, disk is a block oriented structure and the buffer is actually a character oriented nature. Okay, so here we are going to process the information that is present in a block of memory. Here we are going to process the information character by character. Okay, so what happens is when you are trying to write a particular piece of data through your program, so the program will write the data to your buffer, and once the buffer is getting full, then only what happens is the data that is present in your buffer is getting written into the disk. So the same process applies for the reading the content of a file as well. So basically your file will be present in your disk, and the data that is present in your disk will be extracted and present in the buffer, and whatever information is present in your buffer, that will be retrieved from the buffer through your program character by character. Okay, so basically your program will try to read the data that is present inside your buffer, which in turn tries to take the data that is present in your hard disk. Okay, so your data is going to read the block from the file, okay, and that has been written in the buffer, and then whatever content is being written in the buffer, that will be read by the program. So buffer creation and operation, okay, it is automatically handled by your operating systems. Okay, so the creation of the buffer and the operation, that how you are going to manage the buffer, all these are handled by the operating system automatically. So next we are going to see the types of files. So there are a couple of categories of files. One is the ASCII text file and the other one is the binary file. So basically your ASCII text file is going to be a stream of characters that will be processed in a sequential manner. So it moves, the processing of this particular ASCII text file moves in a forward direction. Okay, so two categories of files. One is the ASCII text file and the other one is the binary text file. So your ASCII text file is going to contain a stream or a group of characters which is getting processed, okay, in a sequential manner in the forward direction. So you can read or write or append at one particular point of time. So any given point of time, what you can do is you can read an ASCII file, or you can write an ASCII file, or you can add more information on the existing ASCII file. So your text stream is created in order to process one character at a time. So whenever you are trying to process your ASCII text file, what happens is a stream will be created, and in that particular stream, if you want to do any kind of manipulation, like whether it is going to be a read operation or a write operation, or if you want to add some new information on the existing file, what we are going to do is a stream will be created, and in that textual stream, what we are going to do is we are going to process the information one character at a time. So we can process one by one character alone. Okay, we cannot take a group of character, or we cannot take string as a whole and then do the read operation or write operation or the append operation. So whether if I want to write my name, then what happens is the writing process will happen character by character, that is letter by letter. So every line in your text file, it contains either 0 or more characters, but the character length cannot exceed more than 255 characters. Okay, so a line in a file is not treated as a string. As I told you, every content that is present in your file, that is in your ASCII file, will be treated as a textual one. It is not going to be a string. So whenever you are going to have a new line that is present, so let's say for example I write a particular line and I come to the next line. So whenever you are trying to process every new line character by using the escape sequence /n, okay, it is getting converted to a carriage return or the line feed character. When you're trying to write the data, and you press the enter, or you're trying to make use of the escape sequence, those escape sequence will be converted in terms of a carriage or the return line. Okay, and when you're trying to read the data from the file, what happens is the carriage or the return line, okay, the carriage return or the line feed character, what happens is it will be converted to the new line character. Okay, so every new line character that has been used in your data writing process will be converted to a carriage return or line feed character. But when you try to read the data from the file, the carriage return or the line feed character that is present in your text file, okay, it will be converted to a new line character. So these are some of the information that we have for the ASCII text file. So next we are going to see about the binary file. So basically your binary file is going to be a data type of file, okay, that has been encoded in a binary form for the computer storage and the processing. Okay, so your binary file will have your information that has been encoded in terms of a binary form. So it contains collection of bytes, and every character stream does not need any kind of special processing of data, as what we saw in our previous ASCII text files. Okay, so you will have a character stream for binary file as well, but it does not need any kind of special processing to do on the data. So your data in the particular binary file will be processed either in a sequential manner, or it may be processed in a random manner. So when you are trying to work out the process in a random manner, what you have to do is your current file position has to be moved to the selective place before reading or writing a data. So let's say, for example, I have some 100 records and I just want to process the 5th record in the sense. So basically your current file position will be at the beginning of the record, but what you have to do is we have to move to the corresponding place where you are trying to access the information. So this is something abnormal from your sequential processing of data. So in a random process, what we are supposed to do is we have to move the current file position to the correct place before you are trying to read or write the data. So let's say, for example, you have an integer value in your textual file, that is in an ASCII file, that is 123. So 123 is an integer, and that has been processed inside your ASCII text file. Then in your ASCII text file, what happens is this 123 will be, that is 123 will be stored as a sequence of characters, that is 1, 2 and 3 respectively. So every integer value, that is, let's say for example 123 is an integer, so this 123 will be stored as a character 1, 2 and 3, and every character will require 1 byte of memory. So basically when you are trying to store the integer value 123 in your textual file, you need 3 bytes of memory location, where the hundreds digits value, the tens digit value and the unit digit value will occupy 1 byte of memory each. Whereas the same integer value 123 in your ASCII text file, it will be stored in binary form. So it requires only 2 bytes of memory location. So if you see the advantage, when you try to store the information in a binary file, it takes very minimum number of space to store, and it is very easy to process as well. So this is one of the basic difference between your ASCII file and then the textual file. Okay, so whatever information you are trying to store in your binary file, it will be stored in the binary form, where it takes very less space in order to store the information. So next we are going to see how you can use the files in C. So basically the first and foremost thing is you have to declare a file pointer variable in order to use an existing file in your C. Whether you are trying to write a new file, whether you are trying to access an existing file, the first and foremost thing is you need a pointer variable, you need a file pointer variable that has to be declared. Okay, and this file pointer variable is of a structured data type. We'll see that later. So next thing is you have to open the file with the help of your file pointer variable. Then you have to process the file, and then you have to close the file. So these are the 4 main things that you are supposed to do whenever you are trying to use the files in a C program. Okay, so you are supposed to declare the file pointer variable at the beginning, then you have to open the file with the help of the file pointer variable, then you are going to process the file, and then you are going to close the file. Okay, so first we are going to see how you can declare the file pointer variable. So for declaring the file pointer variable, you have to specify the name of the file that you are supposed to work out with. Okay, so first and foremost thing, you have to declare the name of the file that what you are trying to access. So using a file pointer variable, you can do that, and the file pointer structure that we are going to make use here is the file. So this is case sensitive. In our program, what we are supposed to do is we are going to make use of a file pointer variable of the type that is a structure file. Okay, so we might have seen different data types like integer, float, double, etc. And even when we try to declare user defined data types like structure, we use the keyword struct. So similarly here, if you want to use a file pointer variable, then we have to make use of the structure that is file. Okay, so and what happens is with the help of this particular pointer variable, you can perform all the operations in a file. So either you can read a file, you can write a file, or you can make some changes in your file. So first we'll see the syntax of how to declare your file pointer variable. So basically you have to call the structure that is file. It is case sensitive, so you have to give it in caps, followed by a pointer variable. Okay, so basically you have to give a file pointer name. So you need a unary operator star followed by the file pointer name. So this can be user defined. You can give any name for this particular file pointer variable. So an example, let's say for example here I am using fptr. So this fptr is actually a file pointer variable. Okay, so next we are going to see how you can open a file. So once the pointer variable is created, then you have to make use of the pointer variable in order to open, process as well as closing the files. So in order to open a particular file, so first you have to open the file, okay, before you read or write a data. Okay, so in order to open your particular file, what you're going to do is you have to associate the file, okay, with a stream using the fopen function. Okay, so fopen is a function that will try to link your file with a stream. So here, let's say for example, we'll see the syntax. Here we are going to make use of the structure that is file followed by the function that is fopen. Okay, and this fopen function, okay, it will have, it's basically a function pointer. Okay, it's basically a function pointer. So it will accept two input arguments. The first and foremost thing is the name of the file. Okay, so the name of the file should be given, and then you have to mention in what mode you are trying to open that particular file. So here when you talk about the mode, it speaks about the type of operation you are going to perform on the particular file. So let's see an example. So here, as I told you, the file name is going to indicate about the path name of the file, in which particular location your file is being located. Or if you are not going to give the path name directly, then what happens is your compiler will try to get the file, okay, from the current working directory. So basically your C programs, it is being stored in your TC folder and in the bin subfolder. Okay, so whatever file name you are trying to give, if the path is not given, then what happens is the name of the file will be referred in the bin folder. So here we have the mode. We have the mode as a second input argument. So mode is going to talk about the type of operation you are going to perform on the file, whether you are going to read the file or whether you are going to write the file. Okay, so we'll see an example. So let's say for example, first what I've done is I've created a pointer variable, okay, a file pointer variable of the structure that is file. Now with the help of the file pointer variable, I'm just calling the function that is fopen. I'm just calling the function fopen, and I'm simply passing the name of the file. Remember, you have to mention this particular name of the file as a string, and even the mode of your file operation should be in the form of a string. So even though it is going to be a single character, R is a single character, so R represents the read operation. Okay, so the mode of operation R indicates about the read operation on the file, that is employee.data. Okay, so here we are going to call the function that is fopen, and fopen will try to have two input arguments. One is the name of the file, and the second thing is about what is the mode of operation you are going to perform on that particular file. So once the file has been opened, there is only two things. One thing is whether if the file is found successfully, then the contents will be processed. Okay, then the contents will be processed through a string, okay, through the pointer variable. Otherwise what happens is the function is going to return a null value. Okay, so basically your fopen will try to return a pointer, okay, to the particular structure, or it will return a null value if the file does not exist. Okay, so in case of read operation, what happens is if the file is not going to exist, you will get a null value from the function that is fopen, or if the function is already existing, what happens is a pointer to the structure will be returned. Okay, so next we will see what are the different modes in opening a particular file. So a file can be opened in different modes. So first let us see the textual aspect of opening a file. So as I told you, R is the mode. Okay, so basically the modes will be passed as a second input argument to the function that is fopen. For the function fopen, you must definitely pass the second input argument as the mode of operation on the file. So R is the mode. Okay, so R will open a textual file for reading, and if it is going to if the particular file is going to exist, what happens is you will get a pointer to a structure, or you will have a null value. Okay, so second mode is the W. Okay, so W will open a textual file for writing. If the file does not exist, then what happens is you are going to create a new file, or if the file is already existing and you are trying to write a file, what happens is the existing contents will be deleted or removed. Okay, the new content will be added. Okay, so the mode of operation A indicates about appending to a textual file. Okay, so whenever if the file is going to exist, what happens is the cursor pointer moves to the last character that is present in your file, or it moves to the end of the file and it will add the new content starting from the end of the file. So if the file is not existing, what happens is the new file will be created and the contents will be added in the particular text file. Okay, so the mode RB is going to open a binary file for reading. So always remember the binary files. Okay, so by default it may be accessed through a sequential manner, but the format of the content will be in form of media 4. So WB is the next mode, okay, where we are going to open the binary file for writing, and the mode AB indicates about appending some content to the existing binary file. Okay, so even if the file is not available, a new file will be created and then the content will be appended to the binary file. So this is with respect to the binary files. So next what we are going to see is we are going to see the plus modes on the existing modes whatever we have seen. So R plus is going to indicate about it. We are going to open the file. We're going to open a textual file both to read as well as the write processing. Okay, so your stream that has been linked with your file will be positioned at the starting of the file. Okay, so it always indicates that your R plus is going to indicate that before you write, it means that you are supposed to read the file before writing. Okay, so the mode W plus is going to talk about opening a file for both read and write. So your stream is created if the file is not going to exist. Okay, and if the file is already existing, then the stream will be truncated. So next we are going to see about the mode that is A plus. So A plus is going to write the, it is going to open the file for both read as well as the write. Okay, your stream will be positioned at the end of the file content. So once the file is going to have the last character, so the stream will be positioned at the last character of your file. So the next mode is R plus B, or you call it as RB plus. So it will open a binary file for either read or write operation. And the next mode is the W plus B or WB plus. So this particular mode will create a binary file for reading and writing. And A plus B or AB plus mode will try to append the binary file for read or write. So next we are going to see how to close a particular file. So as I told you, one thing is we are going to declare a file pointer variable, and then we are going to open a file, and then we are going to do the processing. So the processing will happen in terms of the modes. Okay, so the processing will happen in terms of the modes. So either you can read a file, you can write a file, or you can append existing file. Okay, so it may be either textual file or it may be a binary file. So once the processing has been done, then we have to close the file. Okay, so for closing the file, we have to make use of the function that is fclose. So this fclose will delink the file pointer from the file. Okay, so it will disconnect the file pointer from the file. So this particular pointer that has been disconnected can be used to access the same file in some other mode. So let's say for example, I have created a file pointer variable that has been there in the write mode. Okay, so that has been in the read mode. So once my reading process is done, what I can do is I can disconnect the file pointer using the fclose, and the same file pointer can be used to access the same file for the write mode. Okay, so you can use the file pointer, okay, that has been closed to access the same file in different mode, or what you can do is you can access some other file in any mode. So your fclose will actually flush all the buffer that has been maintained for the corresponding file. So your system will close the the particular file pointer even if you are not going to close it in your program directly. So for example, in your program, if you are not going to make use of the fclose function, okay, still your system will automatically close the particular pointer. It will try to disconnect that particular file pointer from the file automatically. So let us see an example. So here what we are doing is we are calling the function that is fclose. It is of an integer data type, and we are going to pass the file pointer variable that we created using the structure that is file. So here f pointer is nothing but the file pointer pointing towards the closed file. Okay, so this will return integer value. Okay, so this particular integer value speaks about the success or failure. So successes will be indicated by a 0 value and the failure will be indicated by a non-zero value. So fclose will return either a 0 value if the file is being closed successfully, or it will return a non-zero value if it is going to face a failure in order to close the particular file pointer. So if you have any queries related to this particular video, you can post the questions in the comment section. Thank you for watching this video.